Straight
Big house or little house? How much rent do you want to pay? That's the topic here today. Now, this episode is not about actual rent. It is not about actual housing costs in the literal sense. It is about the metaphorical rent that we, specifically men, but those of you who are heads of households, but mostly I'm making this episode with males in mind, how much you get to or have to pay, and again, pay metaphorically, based on the type of life that you want to live and on what level you wish to exist. That's what this topic is about today. And this applies to all of you, but again, I thought of this with the male experience in mind because, again, I'm a man who records this show. I thought about this episode after my wife went to the grocery store and she used my card to pay for whatever she got from the grocery store. On this particular day, I happened to be looking at my account for something else when she was still out and she had already finished making her purchase at Whole Foods. That's the grocery store she went to. And I noticed that in this one trip to the grocery store, she spent $340. I didn't know that Whole Foods even sold $340 worth of food. I didn't know even if you filled up the entire cart, it could come out to $340. I didn't know it was possible. I've never done it, but she did it. And she was able to, it was enough bags that she could carry them in one trip from the car to the front door of the house. So it got me thinking about this concept. And at the same time that this was happening, the same day that this occurred, I was looking at, ironically, some housing options in South Florida where housing is not cheap. Those of you who live in South Florida, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you in real estate, you know what I'm talking about. So it's all related to this topic here today. So if you're wondering where I get the ideas from my content, here's another example of how they can come from literally anywhere. Point number one, today's topic once again is big house or little house. How much rent do you want to pay? Number one, bigger life, bigger status equals bigger bills. So if you want to have a bigger life and you want to have more status, you got to pay higher bills. And again, everybody remember, this is a metaphor, but you can apply it literally as well. It applies both ways. Every time you level up in your life, your expenses go up. And that expense, I'll keep saying this today, that expense is not just money. Money is one of them, but it's not the only expense. It's also leveling up requires more energy. More energy does not necessarily mean more effort. Remember, effort and energy are not the same thing. More energy, it may require more of your time, at least on some levels. It will incur increased responsibility. Success, ladies and gentlemen, has a price tag. There is a cost for success. And many people don't calculate that cost before they start chasing after the success. They want the success, but they haven't figured out how much it's going to cost. Understand that once you get to wherever you consider to be quote unquote success, your payments don't stop. You don't make payments till you get the success and then you stop. No, once you get there, you are getting started just getting there. And what you're getting started on is having to pay bigger bills. So whatever bills you paid to get to success, now the bills are going to get bigger. Now you got to keep paying to maintain the success. Otherwise, you get kicked out of success. You can't be there anymore. The question you should ask yourself before you go after success is if you are willing to pay whatever the bills may be once you get to the level that you're trying to get to. That's the question you really got to ask yourself. And this is something that I talked about with this audience in the past. When I talk about getting into any industry, any space that you're not in yet, but you're thinking about getting into that space, one thing that I suggest that you do is not just Google it or watch some YouTube videos about it, is go find someone who's already actually doing it, if you can, and have a conversation with them and ask them, hey, what are the things you wish you knew about this job before you got into it, or this industry or this career before you got into it? What are the hardest things about this career? What are the 3 hardest things about this career that people don't understand from the outside looking in that you still deal with, even though you're successful, even though you've been at it this long? It's still part of the deal. It's still part of the game. And this is something that's important because a lot of people, once they start to reach some level of success to where you have influence with people who are trying to get to where you are, is that people tend to, especially in marketing, and I understand why marketers do it. I'm a marketer. I understand why we do it, is that marketers tend to make things look and sound a lot easier than they actually are. They don't tell you about all the hard parts. They only tell you about the easy part because that's the way you entice people to come into your world. But there is no job that's just all easy. Every job has a hard part. Every job has a third day. There is no such thing as a job that doesn't have the third day, those days that you don't feel like working, that shit that you don't feel like doing, that you absolutely have to do as long as you have that job. There is not one that does not have multiples of these. And no matter how good you are, there is not one job that doesn't have stuff like this. And no matter how good you are, how experienced you are, you still have to show up and do those things. There is no job where it becomes just autopilot, easy, you do nothing. Again, a lot of marketers want you to think that that exists. They're lying to you. It does exist. All right, this is what it is. So you have to maintain more relationships. You have more responsibilities to juggle. More people expect you to live up to what you've created or what you've shown the potential to do. And again, it's not only the finance, it's also the emotions, the mindset, and the spirit. They all pay a price when you level up. So any of you thinking about leveling up and going to a higher level than where you're at, you need to find out what it's really going to cost, because it may be more than what you're comfortable with. And that's okay. If it's more than what you're comfortable with, then stay where you are. If you're willing to pay the higher price, okay, then step through this door. But understand, when you step through this door, the cost is there and you must pay the cost. If you don't want to pay the cost anymore, you can go back outside. But the cost is there as soon as you step through this threshold. All right, do you understand that? Okay, do you accept this mission? Yes or no? It's up to you. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is big house or little house. How much rent do you want to pay? Number 2, paying bigger bills requires more, longer, and more important work, all coming with higher stakes attached. Welcome to the jungle. Bigger bills requires more, longer, and more important work, all with higher stakes attached. In other words, the intensity of every single aspect of it goes up. One thing that I've heard athletes say, you hear athletes say, I've experienced it myself, but I hear athletes say this about, let's say, like the NBA finals in basketball. That I have not experienced. The Super Bowl in football, the playoffs in baseball, and I'm sure this applies in hockey as well, or Grand Slam tournaments in tennis, is that the level of intensity ratchets up significantly when you get to that final round. And there's intensity on all levels. First of all, everybody's calling your fucking phone because you're in the finals. Some people want tickets. Some people just want to talk to you, see how you're doing, or congratulate you, or just get in your ear for whatever reason, or just be around you. All the TV cameras are there because everybody's paying attention to the finals. They may not have watched you in the regular season, but everybody's there for the championship round. The players on both teams are giving more intensity, because if they were saving energy for anything, you're saving it for this. So you might as well empty the tank at this moment, because it's the championship. Everybody in the world is watching. The fans are more tense. The tickets cost more money. Everything ratchets up, and everything's on the line, because the team that doesn't win, you did all that and went this far all season and you still didn't get the trophy. The team that does win, you get all the glory. And these are usually pretty good teams, pretty good performers, because how'd you get here? Everything ratchets up when you get to that higher level of paying that bigger bill, and the stakes all get higher. You lose. There's more you feel like you lost if you don't win, and there's more that you get if you do win. You work more hours, you're doing bigger deals, you have more people involved and more people dependent on your situation, and all adds up to increased pressure and increased stress. That's what this adds up to. All of this leads to pressure and stress. That's not a bad thing, though. I told you in episode number 2248 how performers use pressure. In episode 2705, why you need pressure, anxiety, and stress in your life. Episode number 3002, deadlines and pressure. Episode number 3037, decision-making under pressure. Episode number 543, how to put pressure on yourself. Episode 644, not everybody is built for pressure. Pressure and stress come with raising yourself up to a higher level, guaranteed. Now, again, they can be good things or they can completely destroy you. Depends on how you handle them. Either way, the bigger the life you want to live, the heavier the weight on your shoulders. Now, while all of this sounds good from the outside looking in, right? You should examine if you're really willing to pay this price before you sign up for it. Because the higher the level of your work and the more important that work, the bigger the consequences and the sharper the focus required in order to get it done. Your mistakes are magnified when your work is more important. Your laziness is punished the more important your work is. And it's punished a lot more than it would be at the lower levels when it doesn't really matter. Your game must elevate because the work needed to cover that bigger bill is more demanding than the work that got you there in the first place. So what made you a star in college doesn't make you a star in the pros, metaphorically speaking. It may be a different type of work, but it will demand more of you one way or another. This is the reason why at the professional level of any profession, any career, what separates the top performers from everyone else is not talent, because everyone had to have some level of talent, skill, know-how. They had to have shown some level of ability in order to get in the room in the first place. So at the pro level, everybody has some level of being good. Now, of course, yes, there are some people who are still a lot better than others at the pro level, but at the pro level, everybody has something. That's how they got there. What separates one from the other at the pro level is your level of mental focus, clarity, discipline, to continue to show up and give the best that you can give, even in the moments when you don't quite feel like doing it, and even when you're doing it against people who can match you talent for talent. How do you perform then? That's known as execution. Getting the job done, even though you're going against someone who's just as good as you, and they may even know exactly what you're trying to do, and they're prepared to stop you from doing it. Can you still get it done? That's professional level performance. That's professional execution. And what separates one pro from the next pro is who's best at that, not who has more talent, because they all got talent. If you're a professional at what you do, you got talent. Your peers have talent. Everybody has talent. So that's not going to separate you. I'm a professional at what I do. People who I work with, a lot of them are not work with, but people who are my peers, a lot of them are pretty good at what they do. Now, they can talk, some of them. They can write, some of them. They can speak, some of them. They have followers, almost all of them. They got fans, most of them. What's the separation? Who can show up consistently? Who gets the job done consistently? Who actually follows through on their promise and helps the people who they say they could help do what they said they could help them do? That's what separates it, one from the next. Do your research. All right, I got receipts. Go to alldreallday.com. That's a website, alldreallday.com. I got 20 years of receipts. Check them. Whole point is the bills get bigger, folks. The demands get higher, the pressure is higher, the stress is higher. Again, these can be good things, they can be bad things, depending on how you frame it. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is bigger house or little house. How much rent are you willing to pay? Number 3, establish yourself at a certain level for paying a certain amount of rent, and now you are firmly inserted in that position. You're firmly installed in that position. Once you show people you can do something, now you got to keep doing it. So you got to keep it up, or you lose everything that comes with it if and when you decide to stop playing, or if and when you can't keep playing. So once you show people you can do something at a certain level, now everybody's going to be expecting you to do things at that level. And they're all going to fall back because they know that you are the one who's going to bring home the bacon, do everything at that level. Now you got to keep doing it, because now you have the expectations, not only the fact that you knew you could do it, but now everybody else knows you can do it. And now they're going to expect you to do it, especially if you're doing something at a high level that everybody else can't do. See, when you show yourself able to do something at a high level that everybody else cannot match, eventually everyone's going to fall in line behind you, because they know they can't do what you just did. So they're going to say, okay, as long as he or she keeps doing that, I could just be comfortable doing what I'm doing, and we'll get behind them. Let's let them be the workhorse that gets all the big things done. All I got to do is fall in line and just do my piece. I don't have to be as great as them. Let them be great. I'll clap for them to be great, but I ain't going to do it. That's the way your peers are going to look at you once you show them what you're capable of. The challenge with this is now you got to keep doing it, because now the expectation is on you to do it all the time. And if you don't do it all the time, now everybody's disappointed because you already showed them what you're capable of. So now you got to do it again. Now, see, if you never show them what you're capable of, then no one has the expectation. But as soon as you show it, now is an expectation. That's the trick. This is the reason why a lot of people hold themselves back. So when you hear people talk about fear of failure, but this is the fear of success. The way a lot of people fear success is that the way they show their fear of success is that they don't show you what they're capable of doing, because if they know subconsciously that if they showed you that, now you're going to be expecting them to do that all the time. They don't want to do that all the time. So now they're like, shit, I don't want to do that all the time because now everybody's going to be expecting me to do it. So let me not show it at all so that I never get the expectation. The problem is you don't ever reach the max of your potential. So you die with your music still in you, as we say. This is the game that you sign up for when you show people what you're capable of. Once you are established, now you are entrenched in that position. Remember, folks, that success is not a one-time payment. It is a recurring payment. It's like a membership. You stop paying the bill, then you lose access to the gym. To maintain your titles, your income, your respect, your influence, your status, you got to keep doing the stuff that got you there, or the stuff that keeps you there. You stop paying, you got to leave. It's the way it is. The pressure may have been there before for you to get to where you are. Maybe there was some pressure on you to even get to that position. Okay, now you're there. Now the pressure once you get there is to not lose what you now have. It's one of the reasons why you don't see sports teams repeat as champions. One reason why sports teams don't win championships back to back is that, first of all, there's a lot of pressure and stress that it takes to get to the championship. And then once you get there, several things happen. Number one, you realize what it took to get there. Now, are you willing to pay that price again? Unconsciously, the answer for a lot of people is no. That's why they can't repeat their success. Secondly, all your peers just saw what you did to get there. Now they're all planning their performance around beating you. So now you got the whole world gunning for you. Before, maybe some people knew about you, but they weren't all gunning for you. You weren't the main target because you weren't the champion before. Now you're the champion. Now you get everybody's best shot every time. It's hard to deal with. That's a lot of pressure and stress. That's what that is. The skill levels of everybody else doesn't go up, but it feels like it because they're all keyed up to beat you because you're the champ with the target on your back. Number three, what's your motivation to do it now? What's your motivation to be the champion now? You already became champion. You already satisfied your desire. You scratched that itch. What keeps you driven to do it again now that you already did it once? Can you do it a second time? What's the drive? What's the reason? What's the motivation? If you can't figure it out, well, you'll easily be toppled from that top spot the next time around. Again, this is the reason why it's hard to repeat as champion. To maintain that thing, you got to keep doing the same stuff. Actually, you got to do it harder because now everybody's coming after you. First time, it was a surprise. The next time is not a surprise. So the pressure was there before, but now once you get there, now you got to not lose it if you really care about keeping it. Again, this can be, when I say it can be the stuff that you got because of it. That could be the money. That could be the attention, the fame, the status, the respect, anything else that comes with success, excuse me. Whatever you think comes with success, once you get there, you got to keep doing the stuff that got you there. And if you stop doing it, then you get knocked off the perch of success. And it feels even worse being down at level 3 when you know what it feels like to be at level 10. See, if you've never been to level 10, you might be sad that you're not at level 10. You're sitting down there at level 3. But if you've been to level 10 and now you're sitting at level 3, it feels worse because you tasted it. How do I get back there? That's the hard part. All right, that's the bills that you got to keep paying even though you got to the top. And what's your drive to do it? What's your reason to get out of bed when you've already tasted success? Again, this is the reason why it's hard for people to repeat success because they can't answer that question. Let's recap today's class, which is big house or little house, how much rent do you want to pay? Again, this is not about actual rent or housing costs, but it could be. So point number 1, bigger life, bigger status equals bigger bills. Every level up in life comes with bigger expenses and is not just money, but money is part of it. It also more energy, more time, increased responsibility. Success has a price tag, folks. And a lot of people don't calculate that price before they get into a game. So you better find out what that price actually is. Point number 2, paying bigger bills requires more, longer, and more important work. You're working more hours, doing bigger deals. You have more people involved and dependent on the situation. This can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing, depending on the way you choose to frame it and look at it. But understand increased pressure and increased stress come with stepping your game up, guaranteed. And number 3, when you establish yourself at a certain level for paying a certain size rent, you're now firmly entrenched there, and now everybody expects it of you. Once you show people what you're capable of, they're going to have an expectation of you doing it all the time. And then if you don't do it, they're disappointed in you. But if you never showed them in the first place, then nobody expects anything. Problem is, you know what you're capable of, and you know you're selling yourself short. So how can you go to bed at night and look at yourself in the mirror knowing that you didn't try? Those are questions only you can answer. But if you want help answering them, you want help with what to do once you do have answers, and you start thinking about how to get to it, and I can give you the questions that can help you get really insightful on these answers, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com and get to working with me directly. Work on your game. Dre all